Well, hey guys, welcome back to Soybean Farms. Hey, this is video 2 on the John Deere 8250 grain drill, and take 2 actually. I've done a intro for this video already, and then I've done what I was going to do to it, and then when I pulled my card out of my camera messed up, so I lost some of the video that I took when I was working on it, and I lost the intro to it. But here we are, part 2. So I'll just tell you what I'm going to do this time around, what I've worked on, and of course I've got video that I'll put in after. But first of all, so in the first video I asked some questions about if there's anybody knew anything about these units, how's the best way to set them up for soybeans, and some particular things about how it worked that I wasn't familiar with. I've never ran one of these. So I got some good comments, some good responses, and a lot of help. So I want to thank Scott, cousin Scott there from Scott's Small Farming Things, Soybean Farmer. Thank y'all for y'all's input. Tim with Tah-Dah Farms up in Ohio. He also had some input on that video that was useful and some good information for me. So thank y'all. And I've also gotten my manual now. So some of these things I were able to figure out in the manual, but I do appreciate the input and the comments and the advice that y'all had added there on that first video. So on this video today, we'll be working on the row spacer, the disc open units on the rows. Some of those are they're dragging, they're not turning very well. We need to adjust where the scraper sets against them and where the seed drop chute comes down. All that needs to be adjusted somewhat, and we'll get that done in this video, and I'll show you how that took place and what I learned on that. Also, we will be covering up our drop holes, every other drop hole here in the unit, and I'll show you what I used to do that with, and I think it worked out really good. I was really happy with that. And also, in the first video I asked about this box back here because it was a little bit confusing to me, what this box actually done. Now you've got your drive shaft here, and here's where it comes in and out of gear when it's raised up and down, and that is tied over here to this gear. This is your drive shaft that's coming through out there, that kicks in and out of gear. This gear right here is the shaft that goes through the bottom of your seed box that turns and drops your seed. So you see we've got an extra shaft here, and this one comes over with a chain on it in here. This chain runs up and over and is tied to a shaft coming out of this back gearbox. So thanks to Tim, Tah-Dah Farms, he brought this up in a comment, that this unit being an 8250 to 50 stood for told you that it had a fertilizer attachment on back, and this one does. This is what would have been your fertilizer attachment, but if you can see down in there, the bottom of that is eat out. It's rusted out, and the shaft has even been removed. So that's not something I was going to be using anyway. But as far as this box here, what it's used for is to set your pounds per acre on your fertilizer, and you do that by moving these levers in and out to the desired speed that you want to drop, or pounds that you want to drop. The top of these levers are marked in numbers of pounds, and you set those to match your fertilizer rate. And you do that by unlocking it and locking it here by pulling this shaft out. Allows you to be able to move these when you push this shaft in and turn this handle and it locks. Then these are locked in place and you can't move them. That's what that box does. Doesn't really have anything to do with the seed drop, but it's got everything to do with the fertilizer drop, which we won't be using anyway. So we're going to get into this video, and I'll show you what I was doing during this time, and hopefully that'll be of some use to you. I know I've learned a lot on it, and hopefully by me going through this, some others out there can learn as well. So we're going to get into it. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, so I've got all the unistrut removed, got all that stuff out of the way. I went ahead and removed the placard off the back just to give myself a little extra room, get in here and work. I don't know if I'm gonna put that back on or not. I've got 6 of the 7 rows adjusted. If you can see, that turns pretty good. They're probably not perfect, but I got them as close as I could without them hitting. But I got all six of the 7 adjusted and ready. So I like this one right here, and it'll turn, but it's dragging really hard. So we're gonna adjust that, and I'll show you how to do it. So we'll start by loosening this bolt right here. When we back that off, that allows this to move. First of all, there's some dirt down there. We want to get the trash and dirt and stuff cleaned out of it. And then we want to, see, that thing's got just a little bit of room to move around. So we want to get in there as close as we can and tighten this bolt back up. Now that'll move, but it's still dragging out here on the scraper. And I've tried to, I had a couple scrapers that was dragging, and I tried to bend them. I broke one. They must be some type of spring steel. So we will try to readjust this in. All right, so there we go. So it's fairly close. No, that's not good. We'll do that over, because now my scraper is way too far from the blade. All right. Third time's a charm, right? Not in this case, it wouldn't. Number 4. All right. All right. I'm gonna go with that. And if you notice, these disc openers are wobbling a little bit. So when you get your, some of them do, when you get your spacing set in one spot, turn the wheel, it may not be right in the next. But that's what we've got. So far we got all of them turning. I put some lube on them, got everything tightened up. I hope we're good there. Down inside here now, we're not using every hole that's going down to the drop boxes, through the drop boxes to the disc openers. So we're going to cover those up. I've got some plexiglass. I'm going to try to cut some plexiglass and remove the bolts that are in there and bolt them right in the holes that holds those drop boxes on. That's my plan. We'll see how that works. So here's how I'm covering the drop holes up, every other one. This is a piece of piece of plexiglass. What I've done is just cut it to cover the hole, notched it on either end, took the bolts out that bolt through to hold the cups on the bottom side, and put the bolts back through with the plexiglass on it. And I think it's going to work pretty good. The plexiglass, you know, the bottom is kind of curved in the bottom of the hopper here, but when you tighten these bolts down, it'll kind of bow that plexiglass, and it's got a pretty good seal right there. So I think it's plenty enough for soybeans. There's nothing going to go through there. So we're going to work on getting those put in. All right, be back in a minute. All right, this is the last one going in. They've all worked real good, except for a couple that had been replaced. The cups had been replaced, and they're not threaded. They had nuts on the bottom. I had to get my wife to help me with those. It wouldn't be up here at the top and underneath it at the same time. It bowed that plexiglass right down with the curve in the bottom of that, and it is sealed up good. So we've got every other drop hole stopped up, so that's a step closer. So hey guys, that's about all I'm gonna do to this thing before I take it outside and put it in the dirt and do some adjusting on my seed drop and all that. Yeah, just one more thing that I haven't done yet, and I'll have to look back in the book again. But on these units, where's it good to get to? Right here. I'll have to set these little gates right here for soybeans. They're adjustable, and I don't remember which one they go on, but I think the middle notch. But anyway, I'll look in the book and get that set. But that's going to be about it. So I think I've got it figured out pretty good. I'm probably going with chains behind it, as long as I got good moisture in the ground. Soybeans plant shallow anyway, and you know, they're fine as long as they're covered up and they're not too deep. But if the ground happens to be real dry, or if it looks like we're going to have some dry weather ahead of us when we plant, I may pack the ground a little bit behind them, try to conserve some moisture in there. So them being so shallow, if it turns off real dry, it's gonna hurt the germination. But that's what we'll make that decision when it comes time to plant. The next time you see this, probably, I'm going to shoot a coat of paint on it. I'm going to make it look a little better, clean it up, paint it a little bit. Nothing professional, but just looking better than it does. I'll probably bring you along for that. But other than that, we'll be in the field with it. We'll be planting soybeans with it this spring. So look forward to that coming up, and I really appreciate you being here and supporting the channel. I appreciate you continuing to watch all the comments that's being made, and especially those of you that have subscribed. Really appreciate it. And as always, we'll see you next time.